Welcome back, and moving on to our second segment for today, more about Egypt's exhibitions abroad. Well, we have an important event, an exhibition that is titled Ramses and the Gold of the Pharaohs, taking place in Australia. Well, over the phone, we have Dr. Yehia Abdel. He's a former tourism minister advisor. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Could you tell us more about this exhibition?
Well, really, this is the Ramses II, great exhibition and Golden Pharaohs. It was initiated in 2021. The first exhibition was launched in Houston, Texas. Then it moved to San Francisco for 6 months. Then it continued its route to Paris for another 6 months, where there is nearly, 1 million visitors to this exotic exhibition. But currently it's on display in Sydney, a great metropolis in Australia, since last November, and it's sold out. So, visitors and residents are lining up to check, on the grandiose of this fabulous exhibition in Australia.
Well, talking about these exhibitions, usually in the past we used to see people more interested in some of the famous names like King Tut, for example, and others. But this time when we talk about Ramses II, I think this also will pave the way for more awareness and more people who will be eager to visit many of the temples built by Ramses II. Especially, he has many unique sites around in Egypt.
This is quite true, his sarcophagus was discovered in Valley of the Kings in 1881, and historians and writers of the ancient world used to call him Ozymandias. Ozymandias, that means, Ramesses the Magnificent, because, his empire by the time stretched all the way from southern Turkey and nearly in the west to Tunisia, current day, and then to the Fourth Cataract in the south. And he ruled for over six years, So really he was a great ruler, and you can witness, his temples, his achievements all over this stretched, tract, of empire that was very strong and powerful throughout the time.
Well, talking about how far can this will add from one side to the tourism income to Egypt, and from the other side promote more tourism?
Definitely yes, because the whole world studies since going to prime schools, they study Egyptian civilization, Egyptology and archaeology, and nearly there are Egyptian museums all over the world currently. So they are very much eager to visit their local museums, and when there's a tour of Egyptian antiquities like this one that has over 180 artifacts that shows, a statue of Ramesses himself, and then you see sarcophagus, and then, a collection of his jewelry and the daily, artifacts that was in his possession. So it's very, moving for and stimulating for the imagination, and there are sincere visitors who love to visit Egypt. And just yesterday, TripAdvisor, which is one of the main search engines for travel, they located, and mentioned Egypt to be one of the top 25 locations to be visited in this current year, 2024. So this is some of the impact of having our museums and exhibitions touring the world.
Well, having these exhibitions during this period of time, especially that also we are in winter time, and usually many people are much more interested to be to Upper Egypt, where they can also visit some of the unique temples for Ramses II as well.
Yes, and remember, his assembly, construction and edifices, and Queen Nefertari Temple, and Dr. Beltag, late Minister of Tourism, he used to consider this temple of Queen Nefertari as one of the greatest, love and passion stories which he dedicated for his wife. Another thing that we used to have a direct flight line, from Cairo to Australia, and that was suspended 25 years ago. So really, Egypt is now having a great plan, strategic to cover more routes worldwide. So we look forward, like the Minister of Immigration is working hard to link living up to Egypt. So this airline, route, like we look forward that it will be resumed because there is over 3 million Mediterraneans, like Greeks, Lebanese, Egyptians living in Australia that used to, carry, like their trips to Egypt directly on this line. And that was going to bring, thousands of visitors year-round to visit Egypt and promote our tourism as well.
Well, talking about Egypt and all these important events as well, I can never talk about tourism without just talking also about services provided or aviation side. And you've just tackled this point. Well, I'm asking more about the aviation or facilities provided between different destinations coming here to visit Egypt as well.
Well, really, Egypt Air has a vigorous strategy like about 5 years ago. For example, now they have direct flights to West Africa. They have to Manchester, apart from London. They have to New Jersey, apart from New York and Los Angeles. Now they're starting new routes to Indonesia, to Tangier in Morocco, apart from Casablanca. But really, we need to resume the flights back again to Australia. This is the second largest segment of Egyptians, living abroad after Canada and U.S. So the line was, very efficiently active, and since 25 years ago, until 95, 96, it was suspended. And on the other side, the Australian Airlines used to fly to Cairo. Now it's not. So really, they have hard time. They have to go and stop on the way, somewhere in the Gulf, for 6 hours, 8 hours to come to Egypt. And there's cargo as well, so that promotes trade, investment, travel, education, all types of businesses that's be conducted by, the motherland, Egypt, and our beloved brothers and sisters living in Australia.
Well, as we see using the latest technology also and the latest lighting system in displaying these important items play a crucial role in attracting more visitors to the place.
Yes, of course, the technology, has been, conducted since early, maybe 10, 15 years, they have the holograms. So we can have shows, that one displayed in the GCC countries, commemorating, the celebrations of Egyptian, performance, and leading figures, and worldwide show that we're having currently at the Grand Egyptian Museum for King Tut. It's very fascinating. So, now this new technology and innovation really revives and innovates, the historic past of over 4,000 years ago with the current, technology that really attracts large volume of visitors, especially, young men and women who love, this kind of animation and robotics.
Well, also, whenever we used to talk in the past about not only Upper Egypt, but historical sites or cultural sites in general, usually we used to talk with, let's say, the third generation who are usually interested to visit these sites. But nowadays, we started to see many of the young people, many of the youth from all over the world interested to visit these sites, in addition to many children as well, keen and eager to learn more about these sites. How do you see this?
Well, really, this is part of, the built-in education system. So, for example, I worked in New York and Los Angeles tourist offices for the Egyptian government. I've been to the museums, and I see young men and women, on weekends, they sit down for 2-3 hours and start, painting and drawing and making pictures, because this is part of their inductions. Even children, in kindergartens, they used to invite me to the schools where they make presentations about Egypt, and they have the whole classroom decorated with hieroglyphics, and the dream of visiting Egypt with their families. And their families actually fly to Egypt because of the wish, like of their children to tour, like these historic attractions we have all over Egypt. So really education is an integral part, and we should start doing this in Egypt by teaching, like ancient Egyptian history since kindergarten, and tourism promotion in preparatory and high schools. So we need young men and women to become travel writers and promoters. They can do this through writing travel stories, using the social media, using all the technology we have now to our benefits, and this is done well and right.
Right. Dr. Yehia Abdel, former tourism minister advisor, thank you very much for joining us. And I guess with this, we come to the end of our breakfast show for today. Thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International.